Hello, and welcome to the first ever series set in the realm of Devine. The Order of the Pawn will feature new episodes every 2 weeks and will be structured into story arcs, with this first one being focused on the impending threat of the Rot. Building this connected universe where magic and technology collide has been such an incredible experience, and it's all been building to this series, so whether you're just joining Devine or you've been a fan from the beginning, thank you for being here. And I hope you enjoy. Titans don't dream. Despite this, Fintan Marybrook's sleep had been plagued by nightmares as of late. Each night brought with it a toxic mixture of emotion and flashes of painful memories. He chalked it up to a side effect of magic's return to the realm of Devine. Such a monumental shift was sure to have effects on him. Yes, that's all it was. Strange visions induced by energies even the Titans themselves barely understood. And yet, there was still a fear nagging in the back of Fintan's mind. After all, the last time he had nightmares like this, he lost all his brothers and sisters. Could these new nightmares portend another coming catastrophe? Fintan tried his best not to think about it. Instead, he looked up into the night sky. Amidst all the stars, the fractured shards of Devine's moon hung like a scar on the universe. His eyes wandered across the trails of dust that stretched between them. "How I wish you were here, dear sister. Our Order of the Pawn is finally complete. The Guardians of Devine are all assembled. I wish you could see them. I think you would approve of my choices," Fintan whispered. Tears welled up in the bard's eyes as he looked down at the structure in front of him. It was once a tavern, located on the edge of Titanum Forest. It had been built as a place for weary travelers to stop, eat, and drink to their heart's content. Looking at it now, though, it was clear that it had seen better days. There was a time when the people of the realm thought they could tame the wilds of Titanum Forest. After all, it was home to the fairies. They soon discovered they were wrong. Titanum Forest was home to all manner of strange and dangerous plants, many of which had a taste for blood. "And here I was thinking we were meeting at a tavern. Is this your idea of a joke?" a voice asked. Fintan turned around and saw 2 Talions standing behind him. The runes on their blue skin glowed softly, pulsing like a heartbeat. "Ah, Yeldab and Isara, you made it!" Fintan said, quickly wiping the tears from his eyes. "We've been traveling for days. Yeldarb assured me there'd be food and drink when we arrived," Isara said. Fintan nodded. "Yes, of course. I realize this dilapidated tavern isn't much to look at on the outside, but as with most things, it's what's on the inside that truly counts." Fintan walked up to the crooked door, barely hanging on by its rusted hinges. He pulled a small key out of his pocket and slid it into the door's lock. As he turned it, brilliant white light flashed outward from beyond the key. It was joined by a deeper golden light that seeped through the cracks in the door like fresh honey. He pulled the key out and pushed the door open slowly. To Yeldarb and Isara's utter shock, the inside of the building was a fully functional tavern. Lit torches lined the walls, casting a warm glow on the polished tables. Behind the bar, colorful bottles and clean glasses graced the shelves. "Welcome to the Radiant Refuge," Fintan declared. Isara wasted no time running through the open door. Yeldarb paused at the entrance, looking down at the key in Fintan's hand. "You're certainly full of surprises, Bard." "Haha, I like to keep things interesting," Fintan said with a wink. "Now, make yourselves comfortable. I'm sure the others will be here soon." Fintan propped open the door with a rock and stood patiently waiting for the others he had invited to Titanum Forest. Over the course of the next several hours, they began to arrive. First was Melisari, who many people knew as the last living elf in Devine. She approached the open doorway with a skeptical gaze. "What manner of magic is this?" she asked. "All will be revealed in due time. Make yourself comfortable. I believe our Talion friend is mixing drinks behind the bar," Fintan said. Next came the dread pirate Jameson Netherwave. As a Meldoc, his body was covered in shimmering emerald scales. He was a rare and terrifying sight. "My ship is moored on the coastline. I told the boys that if I don't check in tomorrow, they should assume I've been captured and respond accordingly." He leaned down until his reptilian eyes were level with Fintan's. "So don't try anything funny, Bard. You won't like how it ends." Fintan chuckled nervously. "Very good to know, but I assure you, we are on the same side, my friend. I'm sure that with time you'll come to trust me and the fellow members of the Order." Jameson stood back up and huffed.
I don't trust anyone.
The Meldoc ducked through the open doorway and joined the others. Moments later, Finton spotted a familiar knight approaching. His armor was black as night, but the creases all pulsated with a haunting blue glow that matched the rhythm of his footsteps. A sleek silver helmet covered the entirety of his head, save for a small slit where more of that haunting blue light escaped into the night.
"Ah, Sir Alistair Wolfguard, welcome to the Radiant Refuge,"
Finton said, arms outstretched. The knight removed his helmet. His long brown hair tumbled across his shoulders. He eyed Finton with his one good eye. The other was covered by a metal eye patch that matched the technology powering his armor. Sir Alistair eyed the pitiful tavern before looking through the open door.
Huh. Nice trick. You'll have to show me how it works, he said with a chuckle.
"I thought Devine's one and only Venomancer would appreciate the magic at play here. I'm afraid it cannot be replicated, however. This is old Titan magic. Please, head inside and make yourself comfortable."
Sir Alistair raised an eyebrow before tucking his helmet beneath his arm and stepping into the tavern. Finton was waiting on one more. She had left earlier to practice her magic away from prying eyes. When she didn't arrive, he started to worry, but his fears were soon assuaged when he saw the glowing eyes of Majiri. Ilara floated just above the ground, moving with elegance and grace. She landed softly in front of Finton, pulling back the hood of her robe. Her eyes radiated a violet light that slowly faded. She smiled.
"Just in time. How was your practice?"
Finton asked. Ilara pointed to her throat and shrugged.
"Ah, yes. I forgot, your voice still hasn't come back. Strange. We'll need to look into that further. Well, everyone's here, so let's go inside."
Ilara walked into the tavern and Finton followed, shutting the door behind him. He looked around as conversation filled the air. Yeldarb and Asara had joined a table with Melisari, while Jameson sat in the corner, eyeing everyone suspiciously as he sipped from a wooden mug. Sir Alistair had taken a seat at the bar. His helmet sat on the bar top, still emitting its blue light. Ilara took a seat at one of the empty tables as Finton walked over to the center of the room. He clapped his hands together twice, and everything fell into silence.
"Welcome, everyone, to the first meeting of the Order of the Pawn. Thank you so much for being here, my friends. It is my sincere belief that, together, we will restore Devine to its former glory and protect the realm from threats both familiar and new."
No one responded. Finton's smile faltered momentarily, but his energy came back.
"Before we get started, there's something I need to tell all of you. There's no easy way to say this, but I am no mere bard. I am, in fact, the last of the Eleuthian Titans."
Finton looked around expecting shocked reactions, but no one looked remotely surprised.
"Well, don't all speak up at once. This is huge news,"
Finton shouted.
"Yeah, maybe for someone who was born yesterday,"
Jameson said, laughing as he took a gulp of his drink.
"You're not exactly good at hiding that fact, but I suppose congratulations are in order all the same."
Finton pointed to Yeldarb.
"And you? Did you already know this?"
Yeldarb nodded.
"I knew something was off about you from the moment we met. Isara was the one who figured it out first, though."
Finton glared at Asara, who shrugged and smiled sheepishly.
"For what it's worth, I think it's pretty cool."
Finton sighed.
"All right, then. Well, with that out of the way, I suppose you all want to know how this little order of ours is going to work."
"Indeed. Your contract mentions payment, but it also states that clients can hire us simply by offering something of value in exchange for our services,"
Sir Alistair said. Finton raised an eyebrow.
"You actually read the contract?"
Sir Alistair nodded.
"Of course. I assume we all did."
Everyone else in the room shook their heads. Jameson laughed in the corner as he took another drink.
"Ha ha! Joke's on you! I can't even read."
Finton smiled.
"It's fine. Yes, as guardians of Devine, we must be accessible to all denizens of the realm, rich or poor, nobility or common folk. It was very important to us that anyone could hire the order, so yes, merely an item of value is all that we require."
Melisari raised her hand to get Finton's attention.
"I'm sorry, you said us? I thought you were the only one involved with this order."
Finton nodded.
Yes, of course. You see, the Order of the Pawn is an idea that dates back to the earliest Krona of Devine's history. My sister Khazra and I envisioned the concept many epochs ago. We even built this magical tavern as a place for the eventual Order members to meet. She, of course, is no longer with us.
Melisari nodded.
I see. My apologies for bringing up a painful memory.
Finton waved his hands to dismiss the idea.
Not a problem at all. Now that we're caught up, I'd like to discuss our first contract. The Order of the Pawn has been hired by a very special client to investigate the disappearance of the fairies, and reports that the rot has been sighted here, outside of Avondale Forest. We've only just gathered together for the first time. How would anyone know the Order of the Pawn exists, let alone wish to hire us?
Melisari asked.
The elf is right. Who is this mysterious client?
Yaldarb said.
Well, I suppose now is as good a time as any. You can come out now, Sarai.
One of the doors at the backside of the tavern opened slowly. A woman stepped out, her face obscured by an emerald hood. The group all turned in their seats as she pulled the hood down. Shimmering blonde hair, perfectly braided, fell across her shoulders. Her icy blue eyes scanned the room as silence overtook the space. She was no ordinary client. Everyone in the room immediately spotted her pointed ears. She was an elf.
How is this possible?
Melisari asked, her voice barely a whisper.
When the rot began to consume Avondale, the World Tree commanded me to flee. I escaped with my 2 children, Nolwenn and Kenadara. We've been in hiding ever since.
Melisari stood up, slamming her fists on the table.
How could you keep this from me?
She cried, turning her tear-filled eyes to Finton.
You knew about this, and you let me think that I was the only one left?
Finton thought it would be best to keep our existence a secret. I'm sorry, sister. I cannot imagine the loneliness you've endured.
Melisari stumbled forward, her arms outstretched.
I never thought I would see another elf again, she said, her voice cracking with sobs.
Sarai embraced her.
You're not alone anymore.
Melisari stepped back, wiping the tears from her eyes.
So, what's all this about the rot, then? I've always been told it's trapped in Avondale,
Yaldarb asked, trying to resume the prior conversation. Finton snapped back into his storyteller persona.
Correct! The World Tree has long kept the rot contained in Avondale, and the peoples of the realm have long forgotten, or chosen to ignore, the threat that it poses. Out of sight, out of mind. It was only a matter of time before it escaped.
Melisari sat back down, staring off into space as she recalled a painful memory.
It's true. I've seen it outside Avondale. That's why I agreed to join this group.
Sarai stepped into the center of the tavern beside Finton.
The rot is responsible for the near extinction of the elven people. If it has truly found a way to escape Avondale, then all of Devine is in danger. So, what say you? Will you help us destroy the rot, once and for all?
Sir Alistair laughed.
I know more about magic and technology than any other living thing in Devine. But even with all that knowledge and power at my fingertips, I've never heard of anything that can stop the rot. You all seem like capable warriors, but I don't see how this group could ever hope to defeat such a foe.
You have all been handpicked by Finton Marybrook, the last of the Eluthian Titans. If anyone can stop the rot, it is the Order of the Pawn.
Sarai said.
And besides, we have this.
Sarai reached behind her and pulled a staff out from under her cloak. She slammed it down on the table in front of her. It was made from polished wood, with a metal sphere at its apex. Upon impact, the sphere's surface cracked like glass, releasing an artificial blue light from within. Sir Alistair leapt to his feet.
A chronosphere!
Melisari approached the staff and dropped to her knees.
Not just any chronosphere. This is the chronoscepter, the most prized treasure of the elven people. And you, Sarai, you are its chosen guardian? Please, forgive me. I did not know.
No apologies are needed, sister. Please, stand up.
Finton rushed over and picked up the chronoscepter, handing it back to Sarai.
Yes, we have the advantage of technology that can manipulate time, but use it sparingly. As many of you know, such things require an immortal soul to function, he said. So, you have to kill someone to use it?
Isara asked. Finton spun around to look at the young Talion girl.
I'm afraid it's a fate far worse than death, my young Talion friend. Needless to say, we will only use it as a last resort.
The bard returned to his place at the center of the tavern and cleared his throat.
All right, back to business. We will start by splitting into 2 groups. Yeldab, Isara, and Melisari. You will go to the village of the fairies. They've not been heard from in some time. We need to find out what's happened to them. Yeldarb, Isara, and Melisari all stood to their feet. Finton reached into his satchel and pulled out a round, smooth stone. He handed it to Yeldarb.
What is this?
Yeldarb asked. A Kintari stone. It may look like a normal rock, but it is bound to one of my own just like it. Now that magic has returned to the realm, we can use these to communicate across vast distances.
Yeldarb slid the rock into his own bag.
Very well. We'll make contact once we reach the village.
Finton clapped excitedly.
Very good. Safe travels.
The 3 left as Alara, Jameson, and Alistair all gathered around Finton.
I would like you 3 to join Jameson and his crew along the coast. There have been reports of figures on the beach at night. I'm sure I don't need to remind you that all of Titanum Forest is uninhabited, save for the fairies. Find out what's going on, and be careful.
Finton handed another one of the Kintari stones to Alara, who stored it in the pocket of her robe.
Oi! Why are you giving the talking rock to the mute? She can't even use it!
Jameson said.
I suspect it's because she's least likely to lose it,
Alistair replied.
Finton winked. Correct?
Jameson huffed, but followed the other 2 out without another word.
Finton smiled. I feel like that went well.
As well as it could have, I suppose. I'm going to check on Nolwenn and Kenny. Would you mind taking the first patrol shift?
Sarai asked.
Of course. Happy to do it. I'll leave the key with you. Oh, and let's attune our stones to each other, just as a precaution. Can't be too careful.
With that final step finished, Finton placed his Kintari stone into his pouch and headed outside. Shortly into his patrol, Finton paused as he heard footsteps. They were slow, methodical. Whoever it was, they weren't trying to sneak up on him. That fact did little to comfort him, however. He turned around and spotted a hooded knight approaching. His black cloak cascaded across leather boots. Despite the encroaching darkness, he didn't carry a torch with him either. With each step, his fingers tapped the hilt of his sword. It seemed he was just as suspicious as Finton.
Salutations, friend! What brings you to the border of Titanum Forest?
Finton asked, waving to the knight.
I could ask you the same thing, friend,
the knight responded.
A fair question,
Finton said, reaching into his pouch. He gripped the Kintari stone and felt the warmth of its magic against his skin. Sarai would be able to hear their conversation now. Finton walked closer to the knight, spotting a peculiar scar on his face that spanned from his eye to the center of his cheek.
There, now we can talk like civilized folk. I am merely a humble bard myself. I came here to scout out this new building I've purchased.
Finton gestured to the sad structure behind him. The knight eyed it with a scowl on his face.
It seems you've been had, bard. This building is not long for this world.
Finton chuckled.
Yes, you may be right. Even so, I think it could be a good project, you know? A fixer-upper.
The knight's cold gaze wandered from the building and back to Finton.
I didn't catch your name, he said.
That's because I didn't give it to you. I am Finton. And you are?
The knight extended one of his armored hands.
Calvian Grave, but you may call me Blackheart.
Finton raised an eyebrow. He hadn't heard of this knight, but with a name like that, it was clear he had stories to tell.
Well, Mr. Blackheart, I must ask again, what brings you to Titanum Forest?
The knight reached into the small satchel hanging from his waist and pulled out a sheet of parchment. Upon it was an intricate drawing of a fairy.
Oh my, that's quite the portrait. Who's the artist?
Finton asked. Blackheart grunted.
Mina something, I don't recall. Do you recognize this fairy?
Finton did, but he would never admit it.
No, I can't say that I do. In fact, I don't think I've ever met one of the fairies. I suppose now that I'm here, I finally have a chance.
Blackheart rolled the portrait back up and slid it into his pouch.
Best be finding shelter for the night, bard. Titanum Forest isn't a safe place at night.
Finton nodded.
Ah, very true. I appreciate the advice.
The knight nodded and set off deeper into the forest. Finton watched him walk away. A moment later, Sarai emerged from within the tavern. Golden light briefly lit the surroundings until she closed the door behind her. She handed Finton his magical key and pulled out her Kintari stone.
Clever trick, using the stone.
Like I said, you can never be too careful,
Finton replied.
Who was that?
Sarai asked.
A sellsword. He's looking for one of the missing fairies.
Something seemed off about him.
I agree. He had a smell about him. And it wasn't just from lack of bathing.
What are you suggesting?
I can't explain it, but I'm almost certain he was touched by the rot. Call it a hunch.
That's impossible. Once the rot infects a host, they become mindless animals consumed by rage and bloodlust. If he were infected, you would have known.
Yes, well, even so, I want you to follow him. Don't engage unless you have no other choice. Contact me if you learn anything.
Understood. What about the others? Should we warn them?
I'll contact them myself. Sarai adjusted her emerald cloak, pulling the hood over her head. She tightened the straps on her back where the chronoscepter sat. With a final nod, she headed off into the forest, leaving Finton once more alone beneath the shattered moon in the sky. Finton sighed. It seems my past is truly catching up with me. Could the rot somehow be hiding itself within living things? Is such a thing even possible? Finton looked up to the moon. It seems you have more tricks up your sleeve than I realized. He closed his eyes. My dear brother,